Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our new installment of Essentially Poetic, an Essential Voices monthly reading series for community building. Essentially Poetic Reading Series is a curation of poets, artists, essayists, novelists, educators, and everyday individuals who's deemed their voice essential, their work necessary, and their compassion for community building contagious and inspiring. This space is free of judgment and hate and is a space for writers, readers, and admirers to come together to listen and uplift one another in a creative, poetic, and international online space. Essentially Poetic is dedicated to amplifying essential voices throughout our world. By creating an online environment, we can reach beyond geographical borders and barriers. The essential voice echoes loud and translates intuitively. Thank you for joining us again to Essentially Poetic. Today's featured readers are Jide Badmus, Taufik Ayeyemi, and Eyokunle Falomo, all with connections to Nigeria or West Africa. And correct me if I'm wrong. All three are published with Flower Song Press. Taufik Ayeyemi is a Nigerian lawyer, writer, and author of the chapbook Tongueless Secrets through Ethel Press, and a collection Obad at Midnight or Serenade in the Morning with Flower Song Press back in 2021. He is a Botan and Pushcart Prize nominee. His works have appeared in CV2, Lucent Dreaming, Up the Staircase Quarterly, Feral, Atmospheric, Banyan Review, Concio, Porterhouse Review, The Quills, and elsewhere. He has won the 2021 Loft Books Flash Fiction Competition, second place in 2021 Porterhouse Review Poetry Contest, and honorable mention in 2021 Oku no Hosomichi Saka Matsubara Haiku Contest, and 2020 Stephen A. DiBiase Poetry Prize, among others. You can find him on Twitter at Azwagawi, and we'll put those on the chat so you can follow. And I'll also put the links of their books so you can check those out as well. So without further ado, we welcome you, Taufik, and let us know how you're doing and a little bit about where you're from, and so you can introduce all the new readers that are here in the United States and all over the world.
Oh, all right. It's evening here. Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be a part of Essentially Poetic Reading, and thanks to Flower Song Press, particularly Edward, for bringing this up. I'm in Nigeria and West Africa, right, as you rightly said, and I'm a lawyer. And yeah, so I think that's all for now. My book, Hobbit at Night or Serenade in the Morning, was published by Flower Song Press, and it all comes from being conscious of everything that happens around us. And as a patriotic citizen, we have to try to tell the world about our country, and also hopefully that as we write, we believe that the leadership would find it someday, and hoping that it pricks their conscience to answer the calling of the citizens. So that's what inspired my works generally, and then personal experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and please grace us with your poetry. It's wonderful.
Hello?
Yes, Taufik, go ahead and read some of your poetry for us.
Okay. Okay, I will start with the first poem in the collection. And the first poem is Counting Down in Fortitude. So it's the first poem in the collection, and it goes thus. Here at the river bank, I watch as the egret picks another fish. It too has come in search of earthworms to pick. This is how hope hands me over to my fear. Can we not pick rose flowers without being turned? Every step we take re-echoes the sound of harmattan leaves. as if to say a temple bell calls for emergency. Memories. This morning, I rehearsed the way a body shrieks when tightened in between logs held by chains of slavery. Slavery is no more, but the chains were melted into the bangles and rituals we wear today. Honey and milk abandoned at the swelling of black gold, and like the torn walls of the greenhouse, hunger spills over our land like a tired rain. A man carrying a fatigued hope confined the body of his brother, ransomed. The abductor and the abducted smiled to their bankers. This is how flowers sprout daily on our headlines in red blossoms, red dews, red eyes hoping to behold their gone souls, and red hearts in fantasy of seeing bodies that collected bullets into dust and ashes. I stare into the sky for a true Messiah to descend, for our countrymen have showed us in act and omission that not everybody on the cross are messiahs. So that's the first poem. And the second poem in the collection is I witnessed how this land caught its own wrist. Last night, gusty wind chased a giant rat into the grave. Its prints are everywhere in the muddy soil, but the holes are blocked with the victims of the pelting rain. The trees are now humble, bowing to every passers-by. They say the tempest was a pathetic fallacy, expressing the pain of a land dissolving into itself, beaten by the monkeys feeding from its crops, even when unripe for harvest. When Musa fled Pharaoh to the Red Sea, he parted the sea and walked away. This land also parted its own sea, but got stuck in between, in a Bermuda Triangle, breathing but bleeding so much that the sea has turned red. A judge is the gavel against a culprit. It sounded like a jackal giving the hyena a slap on the wrist. And in days, friends and family beat drums on the streets to welcome their sons as if returning from a battlefield. But when foreign justice hits, you see them going 50,000 feet, 50,000 feet below ground level. So that's the second poem. So I would like to read another one, what we remember about this land. The sceneries of explosion, dismembering the roofs and walls of our schools and replacing the pulpits into the hospitals, of terrified worshippers scampering out of churches into the streets, following the music of bullets into the graveyards, like when armed to teeth security men chased my lord off the bench into his chambers and rendered the hallowed courtroom a hollowed guest room. We remember the days women hid money in their breasts and shook them through iron-webbed windows to their detained husbands, the smell of tear gas and how protesters wiped their tears with kerosene, while others fall like fatigued wolves on their knees, face down on the tightened grip of policemen, the sadness of how this country turns us to wombs of aborted futures. So every day we get pregnant with new tomorrows and midwife the birth of uncertainties. We remember how bodies are gathered behind the mosque, baited, shrouded, arranged side by side like logs, like canned fish inside a pit and earthed. We remember scars and wounds, people who will carry incomplete bodies for the rest of their life, grandparents with no children, with no grandchildren, sitting day and night by the temple, waiting for the next explosion or the next inept government. So these are poems about Nigeria generally, what's happening around us. And so the collection is divided into two parts. So the first part is around the happenings in the country generally, and the second part is personal experience. At times they are not something that are directly personal to me, but something that happened to individuals in the country. So I would like to read one poem titled Objects in the Mirror Are Closer Than They Appear. And that's the first poem in the second part of the collection. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. And if you want to make the future smile, call it tomorrow. Call it alarm clock, waiting for the next minute. A boy sees a mango sprout and begins to dance. He isn't rejoicing over the notes. His joy is over the mangoes that will come on the arrival of rain. It is over the trees. Every morning I clear the compound leaf by leaf. I look at the leaves yet to fall, asking them which will fall by tomorrow. Let me pluck you once and for all. Minutes ago, I looked into the mirror, dozens of cars rushing up behind. The caption on the mirror struck me as if to tell me to speed up, as if to tell me to run for my life. I stepped on the brake. By this, I told life I'm not in competition with anybody. This is how complacency turns our tongues into faith, binding the candles of faith. In the heart of famine, I sleep on the mat, smiling at the sky. The moon asked who gave me pounded yam and promised me a soup fit for kings. Tomorrow, said I looked into the mirror for the umpteenth time. I saw tombstones. I reread the caption on the mirror. The caption is objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. So lastly, the last poem in the collection, which is titled Someday I Will Be No More. This house will become a memory of me, a museum of my existence, holding the regalia I've worn on its walls, hanging my frames and poems, holding on to my rosaries as if to leave them is to shift its foundation. Someday, my heart will stop beating, but my wristwatch will keep ticking, and I will be ushered out of this house and lowered into dust. Sometime at night, people will enter the house and ask if there's anybody left outside. Someone will say no, and they will shut the door, leaving me outside in the grave. Someday, people will call for a praying mat to pray, and they will be given my mat. They will remember me and recite a class upon my soul. Someone will sit at my corner to mimic how I smile while drawing close the beads of my rosary, or while meditating, or rubbing my cats on their heads, or writing my poems, or thinking of the day I will be no more. Someday I will be no more, and the only thing that will remain of me is the memory of me. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Up next, we have Jide Badmus. He's an engineer, a poet inspired by beauty and destruction. He believes that things in ruins were once beautiful. He is the author of several books, including Obaloye from Flower Song Press in 2022 and What Do I Call My Love for Your Body? Roaring Lion, Newcastle, 2022. Badmas has curated and edited several anthologies, and his poems have appeared in Agbowo, The Muse, Morocco, Creative Diadem, Jalada Africa, No Tokens, Afro Critic, Black Bow Poetry Anthology, and elsewhere. He is founder of Inspiring Poetry, editor for Concio Magazine, a mentor in Spring Fellowship, and sits on the board of advisors for Libretto Magazine. Jide writes from Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Permit me, I will not be putting on my video. Well, I'm out of power here. Okay, so
Niger Factor.
that's Nigeria for you. That's Lagos. So, Obaloye is a poetry collection for the things that plague us. Obaloye is a Yoruba god. of infirmities and healing. I'm a fan of duality and ambiguity, so to say. So choosing this title, choosing this God as the central theme to my collection is very deliberate. The poems in this book talk of cradles and graves and every experience in between, employing the duality attribute of the Orisha of epidemics. Each poem is an experience of health and death wrapped in a pod, of strength and flaws, and a thirst for things that elude. So I will be diving straight into the reading. I'll go to the first poem. The first section of the book says wind without mouth. And it tries to chronicle, the losses that it's mostly centered around death. But the first poem talks about, the cycle of life itself. It's titled Cliche. Each time I walk by, I hear the stream sing the same song as it washes the earth beneath and splashes against rocks and pebbles in its path. Each time we make love, our bodies become water, seeking a miracle of gourds and calabashes, flowing into mouths of gods of lust. Each time we go to war, we make love to destruction and bring beauty to its knees. We wreck innocence and shatter trust. We embrace a lifetime of nightmares. Each time a child is born, he mourns the beginning of his end, while our teeth dance around bonfires. Life is a cocktail, sweet, sour, and insipid. Living is cliche, dying the same. That's the first poem. I'll also read the second poem in the collection. It's also similar to the first. It's titled Running. The world runs in cycles. Man is locked up in a loop of time and routines, like gears running into each other in the mind of a clock. The human race, is it our nature to run like lost rats in a maze, chasing after cheese? Hope hangs in a hoop. Dreams are unending, turning like wheels on regurgitated path. The sun's fire runs into the sea, drinks to stupor, and perspires in torrents. Back into the pool from which it drank. Smiles have a way of running into clouds of tears on life's treadmill. The world runs in cycles. A seed dies and is reborn. A new soul in a new body. A chorus keeps running as long as the song is on. I'll go to page 28 and I'll read Reaching for Light. So, Reaching for Light. My first time at the Sunway Pyramids, I walked down an ascending escalator in my head. I know one man who would go through with such impulse. A tipsy Max once sang a love song to a stranger in the elevator. When I'm bored, I sit in the mall and watch. People ride the escalator, smile at memories of little brother, sneaking up on automatic doors at the Sheraton. In this darkness, we constantly reach out for a ray, spark of laughter, blue skies in pockets of clouds. They say there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we have on our hands a growing tunnel, or a light receding like my hairline. Hope is a woman, bald. This wig on her head will not grow a strand. That's Reaching for Light. I'll read from page 39. Dark room. I'm at the riverbank fishing for memories, but the line comes up empty. Not one moment of a smile, not meant for the camera. Your love is twilight, tepid. Your anger, a vibrant waterfall. Father told me not to read too much into the sun's temper, to see light rather than wrath. But you are not the sun, you are dry wind, war us for sandstorms. Mother said you are rain, I should embrace you like the sea. But you beat me with furious tongues. I ripple in silence. I'm at the riverbank, fishing. It's getting late, and no one room of your memory left a light on. That's Dark Room. I'll read the next poem to it. It's Glass. And both poems were written, I think, a day apart. So they practically say the same thing. They pass the same kind of message. So here goes Glass. This poem reaches for my heart, exhumes the remains of a song. There is no sound. I can't find a worthy synonym for silence or distance or bitterness. How do dead things grow? We tend to forget a leaking roof until the rains arrive again. A grudge isn't wished away. A grudge isn't washed away. I'm tired of your blind axe tearing me to splinters, of burning in the hell of your tongue. There's an unopened bottle of forgiveness on my breakfast table, but there's only one glass, and I have lost my appetite. I'll go to page. Okay, so let me read a poem from the section called Theatre of Absurd. I don't think there's a way a Nigerian will have a poetry collection without writing something about the nation. The title of this one is Jesus is an exclamation. Where I live, emergency service is on life support. The fireman's truck tank is empty, and the ICU needs blood and electricity. Perhaps that's why we have learned to call on Jesus when in distress, or in shock, or bemused, because ours is a land of absurdities, and our mouths are yet to find a more fitting exclamation. I'll go to page 57, and I'll read Contagion. I do not watch the news. It breaks me. A square-faced reporter with a curt smile speak of loss. Darkness reaches through the TV screen and shreds me into creases and ripples, flakes of empathy. There's a commercial break, but violence teeth never go on recess. Weather forecasts tell me nature loses control too. Viruses cross borders without visas. We learn to distrust smiles and handshakes and hugs. Eyes walk the night in search of sanctuary, where grief isn't a bed of storms, but trauma is a contagion. Images from the news at noon grow voices and become recurring nightmares. I do not write my pains on my face, neither do I wear a mask in denial. I shed dead weight. I will not. Okay. I shed dead weight Wash the taste of sorrow in my mouth with freshly brewed black coffee. Sit on the couch with my cat, except I don't have one and I'm in love with puppies. And write a poem about cats, coffee, and the weather for lovers. The last part of this book, most of the poems there were written during or after the COVID-19 pandemic. So they have those vibes with them. Let me read Quiet. Church bells have grown beards of dust. The markets are denuded. Pigeons have taken over the parks. We stopped calling the days by name. Today is Abiku. Yesterday replayed. Tomorrow will wear this same face. This quiet is of a wound festering, a dream decaying. This silence is of a love withering, craving the bliss. So I'll read two more, the last two poems in the collection. Breathe. Breathe combines a bit of, a couple of experiences. You will see the White Lives Matter and, some other experiences peculiar to Nigerians here. So, breathe. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. Genesis 1:2. We are at the mercy of choking news and justice whose head is perpetually turned away. White lives matter too. Really? What gender is your apology? We can't breathe. Our brothers ate sour grapes, but it's our teeth that ache. We hide our faces. Hush. We don't say our names in public. We don't mention the alphabets between the ties. Sex is sacred, but rebel penises have invaded the streets, and we can't differentiate the monsters from men. We can't breathe. The earth is formless and void. All I see is darkness. Let there be light. And now the last poem, the title poem, Obaluaye. You held the sun by the throat, made love to darkness. She screamed your name, but your name, Shokono, is not to be spoken. We fell to the wrath of earth. The air we breathe stalks us. Water can't cleanse this curse. The sun, the moon, your concubine. The world is hungry for light. The streets are dying for your healing sweep. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Edward.
Thank you, Jide. Thank you so much. Such powerful poetry. Appreciate the wide range that you covered there with COVID and love and all the other. Your book is just so complete. I love it. All three of you have such great books. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Eyokunle Falomo. He's Nigerian American and the author of Autobiomythography of Alice James books. That's forthcoming, I believe, 2024. African American with Flower Song Press, 2022. He was a finalist for the Texas Institute of Letters Helen C. Smith Memorial Award for Best Book of Poetry. 2 self-published collections and African American from New Delta Review 2019, selected by Sela Satterstrom as the winner of the New Delta Review's 8th annual chapbook contest. A recipient of fellowships from Vermont Studio Center, MacDowell, and the University of Michigan's Helen Zell Writers Program, where he obtained his MFA in creative writing poetry. His work has been anthologized and widely published. Welcome, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Edward. I had every intention to have my camera on, but it's not, it's just giving me like a symbol right now. So we're just gonna have to go with this. But I'm gonna start with a poem from the upcoming collection from Alice James. But before I start reading, I just wanna, you know, shout out Jide and Taufik. I am very honored and very grateful to be writing, period in the same time period in the same era as you both. Um, everywhere
Yeah,
we,
same here. Thank you.
Nigerians are like, dominating
Thank
the
you.
literary field right now. So I am very grateful and wonderful poems. It's also very wonderful to like hear your voices for the first time, So like I've read your work, but it sounds very different when it's like coming straight from your mouths. So yeah, thank you. I'm very honored to be sharing this moment with you both.
All right, thank you, Ayo. The feeling is
It's an
mutual.
honor. Yeah, it's an honor to be in the same press with both of you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you both for sharing your work and representing Nigeria from the homeland. I thought it would be fitting to start with a poem from Nigeria, from Nigeria's perspective. This is a poem that is called Nigeria Speaks, and it was actually published recently by Nigeria News Direct poetry column. So I was very happy about that. So this is a poem in the voice of the country Nigeria, and it's written after Patricia Smith. Did your teachers not teach you to ask good questions before starting any venture at all? What good is archaeology anyway? May I ask you about poetry? Yours, what good is it? It's been 10 years since you left, and I wonder, do you miss me still, or even at all? Even then, what right do you have to tell anyone about my wrongs? What right to say anything at all? Can I say something about guilt? Do you have any space left in your heart for shame? Do you feel shame or guilt for leaving me? Do you even remember how to get to your father's house, eyes closed, without a map? When will you stop asking for directions to yourself? And have you learned anything yet? What have you learned about yourself, about me, that you didn't already know? Can I ask what you are willing to teach me about myself? Can I ask what you're willing to do for me? Is it too much to ask, son? How did it feel when you first found out sharing my secrets with strangers could get you a pat on the back, an award, $250, $500? How much am I worth to you, Ayokunle? Bado, what price would you put on decolonization? If a pimp is a kind of God, do you think yourself a god? Are you willing to put your life on the line for every single line you have written about me? Are you willing to die for me? Tell me, what are you actually going to do with all the bones you dig up? Do you know that though they call this land the white man's grave, when you dig, it is not his skull you are likely to strike with your shovel? Will you ever stop calling your pen a shovel? Do you wonder if your ancestors are tired of you waking them up with your tireless digging? Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of robbing them of sleep? Will you ever let them rest? When will you stop to rest too? Will you ever stop digging, son? What have you done for yourself lately? When will you stop burying your head inside books written by men who have long been dead and forgotten? Your work, who is it for? Is it out of love or obligation? Is this a way to rid yourself of the ghosts you summon with every word you pen down? Son, tell me, when will you come back home? The next poem I'll read is the title poem for African Americans, the collection from Flower Song. And I'll read it like the way that it's written in the book first, and then I'll read it the you can't see my fingers, but I'm doing air quotes. The instruction is for it to be read from bottom to top, but I'm gonna read it from top to bottom. And it is called African American Sonnet. Then that I am here, still breathing, even if barely. It means breathing in two countries. Is it betrayal? Perhaps it is true what the poet said of love. How my mouth a sheath, love and betrayal both are swords. I don't. I know you expect me to think it a betrayal. Returned home. Please don't ask me if I miss Nigeria. I have been here for more than 10 years and I have not. It belonged to, I ask, this loaf of bread, this jar of milk. Know which country to claim. Which country does is a border I have to cross to get to the fridge. I don't. Between my father's bedroom and my mother's, there, to say love. Once I belonged to one country, and now what I think about America. I know you expect me, and still I am American, but please refrain from asking. And still I am American, but please refrain from asking what I think about America. I know you expect me to say love. Once I belonged to one country, and now between my father's bedroom and my mother's, there is a border I have to cross to get to the fridge. I don't know which country to claim. Which country does it belong to, I ask? This loaf of bread, this jar of milk. I have been here for more than 10 years and I have not returned home. Please don't ask me if I miss Nigeria. I don't. I know you expect me to think it a betrayal. My mouth a sheath. Love and betrayal both are swords. Perhaps it is true what the poet said of love, how it means breathing in two countries. Is it betrayal then that I am here, still breathing, even if barely? The next poem that I'll read is kind of in conversation with the national anthem. And it's like the second stanza, which no one really ever sings. Yeah. It's called a lament for the second stanza of the Nigerian national anthem. And the words of the second stanza go, O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Say it. Say it is. Say true. Say the just thing. Say youth. Say truth. Say nation. Say it is true that the just thing to do is for the youth to know the truth about its nation. Say it is our right to know justice. Say, oh, how much we love to talk about justice. Say love. Say God. Say living. Say right. Say his creation built in vain. Say guide. Say help. Say direct. Say just. Say just. Say just. When will our leaders get it right? Say right. Say you. Say youth. Say honesty. Say rain. Say cannot. Say attain. Say grow. Say grow. Say youth. Say once and again. Say grown. Say grew. Say grown. Say stay. Say no. Say leave. Say stay. Say no. Say brain. Say drain. Say leave. Say leave. Say still. Stay still. Say no. Say heights. Say attain. Say no heights attained. Say still. Say cause. Say leaders. Say cause. Say youth. Say you. Say you, say no, say no one, say blame, say no one knows, say no one knows the cause, say you, say peace, say where, say no, say nowhere, say it, say. I've seen a man look fresh to death while rocking a gold chain around his neck in the middle of a raised platform as he, mic in hand, is surrounded by a multitude of people there to watch him bring the heat. And the mic is on fire. And this, of course, we call a good show or justice. For is this not a public execution? Well done. How it leaves us out of breath. And I have seen too a man rock a flaming tire around his neck in the middle of the street as he, with the item he stole in his hand, is surrounded by a multitude of people there to watch him embrace the heat. And the man is on fire. And this, of course, we call a good show or justice. How we watch him slowly lose the fresh of his breath to death. And after what is done, the multitude leave, and all that is left of the man's name is ash and bones, and the smoke continues to rise to the skies. And there, in the clouds, is where you, the forgotten stanza, have made your home. And how long have you been gone, O forgotten one? Here is a poem called Self-Portrait as Patriot, and it is after Safia El Hilo. Mr. Adeniyi's geography class was my first lesson in tracing my roots. And what is a country if not a head full of good hair? And though I do praise the hands of Akinkumi, this, the white of Wale Soyinka's head, and the green of the grass my mother played in as a girl, and which I pledge allegiance to, will be my new flag. A symbol to hail my sovereign motherland, a banner without stain to hand on to my children and their children and their children, who like eaglets will one day no longer be able to fit underneath their wings. Yes, I pledge allegiance to the eagle mounted on a wreath, for I too know how to build my nest close to the sky, and don't I too soar homeward for hours and hours without a single wing beat? And oh, how I pledge allegiance to my feet, how they now dance to the rhythm of my beat in praise of all the things that I've been shielded from my young and innocent heart. Indeed, too, I pledge to the Y-shaped rivers that run through me. I pledge allegiance to the red radiating sun in the center of this flag I call body. and to the costus spectabilis, the red trumpet that is my blood. Yes, I too am dormant in winter, and even in spring when the sun shows her face, the bed remains the moist soil my body is oppressed to. For I too wait until the conditions are warm enough before I start to grow. And when I do, don't I too need as large of a space as you can make available? I am always circling around the edge of the pot, always trying to escape. Yes, I pledge allegiance to two white horses, because did I too not inherit speed? And did I not start running shortly after I was born a colt? Mother said I did not crawl, and here I am. 17.5 hand of a stallion and still running. I pledge allegiance to speed. Each bone of my hands an ode to bobsled and skeleton. The gods of velocity, the bodies of Adeagbo, Onwumere, Omeoga, and Adigun became altars for. Oh, how I pledge to the wind these mares leave behind when they move. And oh, how this moves me, and my pen moves in worship. O God of our bodies, help us build ourselves into a nation where oppression is no anthem, and where my pledge of allegiance is to hand, that of my daughter and sister, and that of my brothers and father and mother, and that of those who mothered and fathered them, and yours, and mine, and yours. Each line on our palms a river, flowing into another, and another, and another. Yes, indeed, I pledge to this country of Hent, the only country faithful I know, and which I wish to serve and defend and hope of. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. So we'll open it up to anyone that has questions. If you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to go ahead and just unmute yourself. Also, for the three featured readers, if any of you have questions for any of the other featured readers, go ahead. Um,
No questions, only gratitude for all the amazing writing. Also, thank you for Edward for making this the online chat and for posting it on YouTube. I go back and watch these many times, gather inspiration. Just amazing, amazing writing, and thank you.
I agree. It's awesome. There was a line I want to ask. One, I think it was you. I want to say Taufik, where you wrote that poetry doesn't heal everything. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was you, Taufik. Are you there?
Okay, yes. I didn't get the question.
I think I read somewhere where you wrote uh, poetry doesn't heal everything.
Yes, yes, yes. That's one of my
One of the
um
poems.
yeah one of the poems in the collection. Um, I can't actually recall the particular poem, but I it's one of the poems in the collection. It's when I was actually talking about the country, like it's just like a normal rant by the citizens that yes, we might keep talking about the problems. What is important is putting these things in action. So and that's one of the intendments that I have behind that line. So I think Code Valuaret Kingdom. Yes, there's a particular poem I titled Code Valuaret Kingdom. So that's the poem where I used that line. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so any other questions for any of our readers? Jide, can you tell us what you're working on right now?
Wow. Well, presently, uh, I have like two manuscripts. I'm trying to add them ready as a last year. Dawn is an open wound, and I can't recall the second title now. So I'm going over them, trying to brush them up, see if I can tidy them up. I have a couple of chapbooks too, mostly so I think the love poems, 15 short love poems, Love and Antidote. I have that translated into Yoruba. Yoruba is my language. So I had another poet translating the 15 love poems into Yoruba. So hoping to find places to take on this new project.
Awesome. And Ayo, you have a new book coming out with Alice James Books, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to come out later this year in September. So that's the manuscript the first poem I read. That's where it's from.
Awesome. Well, if are there any more questions? I know Taufik was trying to get somewhere, and thank you for you know making time and sharing space with us today. I know it's busy over there. It's probably what 8 p.m. in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. So y'all are getting ready for maybe a late dinner or on your way to rest, of course. And here we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So if
Yes,
there,
you're right.
go ahead.
Yeah, I said you are correct. It's 8 p.m. around here.
Right, right. Well, it's special to hear the sounds in the back, knowing they're from your land. So it does bring a smile to my face. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you're all doing well. I thank you for your poetry. I thank you for your wisdom. I hope everyone that's on the chat picks up your books and shares it with others, because you all have very special lines in your poetry, and that's what attracted me to to each one of your poems. I know Taufik, yours was the first book that came across my desk, and myself and a couple of the other editors of Flower Song Press looked at it and said, "Wow," and we I was surprised, that I got something from a country as far away as you know where you're from to come to our border town. But it's important and it's necessary poetry that you're all writing, and I appreciate you all for it. And it's very special to have you as part of the Flower Song Press uh, family of authors, and in our catalog. I just hope that we can get more poetry, out into the world from your part of the world. So again, thank you all for being part of Essentially Poetic. Thank you for kicking off the new year. We feel very, very lucky to have you sharing space with us. If anyone has any last words, let me know, and if not, we'll
Yeah.
conclude with this.
Edward. Yeah, thank you, Edward, for the platform. Thank you for having us. At times I look at your activities, what you do, and I wonder if you have more than 24 hours in a day. Uh, it's a pleasure to be a part of the press, and I'm happy to share this with. I think 2022, I met Amy, also a press meet. She came to Nigeria for a festival, poetry festival, and it was a good time meeting her. So thank you for the platform. Thank you for also my other press mates, Taufik and Ayo. It's a pleasure being together in this program, opening this year's Poetically Essential. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining and listening to us. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Jide.
Yeah, very, very happy to have been a part of this. Like, this is the first reading of the year for me, too. So it gets yeah, it's like up from here on out. This is a very, very good way to start the year.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Many thanks to Flowers on Press and especially to Edward for the work that you do. And I want to thank everyone that's part of this reading. It's the same for me. It's the first reading of the year, and we hope to do more, fine poetry this year, and let the world see what we can do. So thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of this event.
Thank you, Taufik. And I want to thank everyone else for being here, our guests that were able to log in. Thank you so much. I believe, thank you to Ilsa, Ismail, John, to Kate, and everyone else who tuned in. And hopefully we can share this soon on our YouTube platform and our other social media outlets. But until next time, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful year. And we'll talk soon.